Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Welcome to episode 8 of Conversations with Your Advisor. Today we are going to be discussing about financial decisions and who makes them. Who makes the financial decisions in your family? In our experience, we have seen different scenarios where different people make financial decisions in different reasons and methods. So this is exactly what we're going to be discussing today. Sometimes it's the breadwinner, sometimes it's the person with a more experience or who's older in the family. But in our experience, we have seen a lot of times that clients make decisions based on who usually brings the money to the table. So today let's explore in terms of how we can make better financial decisions and take things forward.
I think that makes a lot of sense, right? When you have a breadwinner or the person who's earning, it's a very convenient way of making decisions because you can avoid delays, you can avoid debates, and you can just get things done. And for a lot of families, that is the priority. But you do come across instances where this may not actually give you the best end result. So let's take an example where the husband invested in a lot of real estate properties as part of their retirement plan because he felt that the rental income would be enough for them to live well. But he was also fully responsible for managing the tenants, managing the properties and all of that. And then there was one period where he fell ill, and all of these responsibilities of managing the assets fell upon the wife, and she was really struggling to get through that period. So sometimes you'll see that there is a preference mismatch, there is a skill mismatch when it comes to handling these assets. So then it makes sense for the other person also to have a say, because at the end of the day, it's not just about who is bringing the money to the table, it's also about how it's going to get used and who is going to be responsible for taking care of this. Then you have instances where let's say you have a parent or a grandparent saving for the upcoming generations, right? The investment horizon is really long, but the strategy that most people follow is whatever is within their comfort zone. So you will see sometimes grandparents saving in fixed deposits for their grandchildren 10, 15, 20 years down the line to give them this money. Now, is that the best decision that they could make? Possibly not. But the other options may seem too far outside their comfort zone at that point in time. And I think that's where like dialogue and conversation and thinking about what is more important, which is basically the goal, comes into the framework.
So this clearly brings us to the point that joint decision making is important and keeping people informed is also very crucial. Sometimes we do understand that probably you want to take full ownership and do certain things for the beneficiary, but keeping them informed, letting them know where what assets are and what kind of physical and movable assets you have is important, because we have seen sometimes where probably grandchildren find out about certain physical share certificates which are there after the person's time, and they kind of have to navigate the system to be able to convert that into a dematerialized form, and they need to understand what the procedure is to get that. And sometimes even if you don't even get hold of certain assets that might already be there, so it is kind of important to at least involve the person in terms of letting them know what you're doing for them. But we do understand that sometimes jointly making the entire financial decision could be a bit of a tough conversation to have, and there could be certain differences, and coming to a middle ground could be challenging. So how do we actually go about navigating that?
I think if you can resolve it within the family where everybody's voice is heard and everybody's priorities are taken care of, then there's nothing like it. But a lot of the time, these discussions can actually be quite emotional. They're not just about the money, right? There are a lot of other feelings that are running through the conversation that need to be very well managed and addressed all the time, because sometimes people don't even speak up, and that becomes an issue because later on, when things go wrong, that's when the voices all get louder. So I think this is where a conversation with your advisor can make a world of a difference, because here you can bring everybody to the table. You can actually lay out what the priorities are in terms of what are the goals, what are the return objectives, what is each person capable of handling, and what are you going to do if that responsibility has to transfer to someone else, right? And whether you make a will or don't make a will, at least there should be some record or document of all your assets, what they're meant for, who the intended beneficiary is. And I think planning brings all of those details into the table. So I think this is the way that we can have conversations. This is the way that we can think about financial decisions and who gets to make them, because after all, this is a family decision, which means everybody should be involved. If you like this video and you found something insightful, we'd encourage you to start having a conversation with your family about financial decisions and who gets to make them. And if you'd like to bring an advisor to the table, do get in touch with us.